Hey YouTube, Alien 2000 49655 here. Something interesting some of you might find useful. I recently acquired a game called Space Engineers. It's a sandbox game very similar to Minecraft. Which is an awesome game, but the problem I kept running into is I've built a little mini raider, this bare bones ship, small ship cockpit, and one small storage unit running off a single reactor and a single gyro, and the smallest jets I can find, just minimalistic. With on its nose, I put a piece of landing gear, which anyone who's played Space Engineers know that once you make contact, and there's a little band of color that turns yellow, you can hit the P button and it'll turn green, which means you're locked to the hull, or locked to a rock or hull or the side of a building. The trick is, a lot of you have been trying to capture, a lot of the newbies have been trying to capture ships with their inertial dampeners on. I find that it's a lot easier to capture them if I maintain speed, if I turn my inertial dampers off, and then I can literally coast right into the back of the ship. I still use the controls to fine tune and to back off the speed a little bit, but I find a nice flat spot wide enough for my little pod, and all I need is one large block wide. Hopefully there's no large thrusters in the way, and I just ease right up, attach to the hull, get out of the ship, make sure your suits, spacesuits, inertial dampers are off, because it makes it a lot easier to keep up with the ship without your ship. But the problem I've been running into, especially with the military ships, which are booby-trapped, particularly the mine layers. Now, I managed to defuse one the hard way. I went and looked to see what was setting off the warheads inside the ship. And turns out they got these small thrusters pointed right into a block of warheads. They're in this case they're referring to them as mines. But I found out with the military mine layer, there's an easy way to defeat that ship. In the back half of the ship, it's all mines. There's no goodies in there. You can't even disassemble the mines without getting blown up. But they're between the front, where the bridge is, and the back, there's a thin layer of like 3 blocks wide material. The one in the middle is a thruster that is pointed at a mine up in the head part of the ship. You fly down there, try to your best to maneuver, take your little angle grinder, that's your survival deletion tool. Take apart the thruster first. Then you can take out the other 2 blocks that are connecting, and you're literally decapitating the ship. After that, you can turn on inertial dampers and the ship won't blow up. I don't know about the military cargo ships or the support ships. The support ships don't have that configuration where you can just cut the ship in half and render it safe. But the mine layer, the head unit, all of its control thrusters are up on the head, so you can literally cut its ass off and drive the head home. And I do that with my little ship attached to the ass end of the head unit. Before I pull away, what I did was I ended up attaching to the back of the mine layer, started ferreting around for the booby traps, disabled them, but then I discovered as I was looking at this particular ship that I could just cut it in half. So what I did was I just cut it in half, took its head off, I decapitated the ship, went back to the ass end, which was dead with no inertial dampening, no thrust, no whatsoever, got into my ship, detached, and reattached to the head unit right behind it where the ass end was attached, and I drove it home with my little raider ship in tow. I would call it the micro raider. I even got a beacon written for that, and it's designed specifically for attaching and raiding ships. Now, I've taken quite a few ships with it. Um, Someone on a wiki said that the business ships, the business carriers, or business shipments aren't booby trapped. I found one that was. I tried to turn on its inertial dampers and it blew it to kingdom come. Luckily, I was nowhere near the reactors that was set up to. Instead of warheads, the business ships use a small reactor right in front of the nozzle. And luckily, I wasn't near enough to it, so the bridge went floating free. I had to end up bailing out because the ship was completely destroyed. All the loot that was aboard wasn't worth trying to retrieve it. But I've taken out mine carriers, mining transports, mining carriers. I've grabbed a private sail that doesn't have any booby traps, but it doesn't have a cockpit either. I mean, I just had to latch onto it with no inertial damping and fight momentum to get at its reactor to pull out the uranium. That makes the ship dead immediately, but it doesn't stop the inertia because there's no gyros and no inertial dampening and no way to interface with it. If I thought I could, I would have brought a control cockpit with me and just planted it right on the hull and made it stop. You know, turn on the inertial dampening and make it stop, and then go and get my stuff and then figure out how to take my cockpit with me. But mostly what I've found is the booby traps on the mining carriers, the big cargo ships. They blow up if you try to engage their inertial dampening. I've had one business shipment that blew up on me, but as a general rule of thumb, the business shipments don't. Private sails don't blow up, but the military ships almost always blow up, and you've got to find a way to slow down or stop that ship without using inertial dampening. There's a little thing I want to try. Right now I've been raiding with a little ship, but what I'm going to try to do is build a big ship, something with enough clout to actually arrest the military ship. I'll land right on top of it, attach to the hull, fly over to the military ship's cockpit, shut everything down. That shuts down the thrusters, the gravity, gyro, everything. And because my ship is attached to it, the inertia between the two are going to be the same, and I can literally haul the thing home like a trailer just by getting rid of its thrusters. It will run a little slower because you're basically hauling two ships and pulling twice the weight. So, but I thought you guys might be interested in the mine layer. A quick way to disable it. I know for a fact that the mine layers from the bridge back are nothing but mines and crap. It's not even worth messing with that. And there's one mine attached to the bridge, but you can defuse that in the process of decapitating it. You're taking out one thruster and two blocks, and then you can drive the head home. I haven't figured out an easy solution for the military cargo carriers or the escort ships yet, but I managed to take out an escort ship just by moving in 0G with no inertia. I just shut down the ship so that I went to its bridge and I just shut the whole thing down. And that also shuts off its beacon, so I'm not letting it coast away with its beacon flashing, making me think that ship hasn't been raided. So to mark them as raided, I shut their beacons off so they don't show up on my HUD. And then I just went in, took the fuel out of its reactor, which would have killed it anyway. But that's another reason why I shut them down first thing as soon as I can, is because it saves on uranium. You can often end up with more uranium off the ships if you shut them down first. And then I raid their cargo containers if there are any. The last military escort ship, I got 4 assault rifles and a shitload of ammo. So, and I did manage to get some rockets off the mine layer. That'll help me allow me to spit rockets. I still haven't found any Gatling gun ammo. I call it a minigun because it works just like a minigun. So I know the game calls it a Gatling gun, but I'm going to call it a minigun. and it's the kind that only works on small ships. But unless I manufacture the ammo, I'm going to have a hard time getting ammo for it. And right now I've only played single player. I just bought the game a week ago, and I'm just trying to get used to the controls and get a feel for how it plays. Once you master the controls and what everything does, it's just like playing Minecraft in space. The only enemies you have are the booby traps, but if you play multiplayer, you've got other players to worry about. And since they've activated small ship weapons, and in multiplayer, the big ship weapons like the rocket turrets and the gun turrets are active. They don't do anything in single player. You just see that little green laser beam that trails from them. But anyway, I just thought that those of you who play Space Engineers might want to know that little trick. Some of you may already figured that out, but to me it looks like a giant grasshopper, and you just cut off the grasshopper's head, and well, grasshopper without the legs, but you cut off the grasshopper's head and drive the head home. So my little micro raider is too small to actually push it after turning the power off. So once I figured out how to take the head, now I can know how to take mine layers, and I've been looking specifically for mine layers. The last military cargo ship that I went through, I ended up dying because I turned on the inertial dampers and I blew up. So, but and if you haven't gotten Space Engineers and you're a fan of Minecraft, Space Engineers is $20 on Steam. If you're a heavy gamer, you know what Steam is, and you've probably got a few games that required an account. It's $20. They take credit cards and PayPal. I highly recommend it. Right now it's still technically in the alpha stage and they're still under development, but I got the early access, and right now they're still doing the early access on Steam. So check it out. If you're old enough to make the decision to purchase it yourself, great. If you're a kid that doesn't have his own credit card yet, you might want to beg and plead with mom and dad. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, the whole point was to show you how to defeat those mine layers, and that's my window, and I'm gonna cut it off right here. Till next time.